Hello everybody! How are you doing? My name is Kikrlin, but you may also know me as Dino from PC1, and welcome to Ero Pc2! Today racing in Australia, in Melbourne, which is the oldest surviving motor racing competition held in Australia after the Alpine Rally of East Gippsland. This 5.2 kilometer circuit has been part of F1 since 1996. So it has a pretty rich history, and it sometimes has been the opening round of the championship in real life. The only exceptions are in 2020 and 2021, where the GP has been cancelled because of COVID, which is actually a real shame because this track produces some pretty good racing, or pretty average racing at least. It is made out of 16 corners, which are mostly medium and slow speed corners. The drivers will need to be extremely careful into turns 1 and 2 and into turns 11 and 12. These chicanes are really dangerous, and you really have to commit to them if you want to have a good exit, which will carry over to the next straight right after turn 2 and turn 12. This is also a pretty tight circuit, so overtaking will be a bit difficult for the drivers, so they will need to think of a good strategy to carry them in the race. We should also expect a pretty close grid, so let's hope for that as well. So, we already have a few people out on track. The first guy is, I think, Georgios. I don't know why I can't use my wheel. I think it's this. Okay, yeah. So, the first guy is Georgios out on track in the Mercedes. So, let's see what he can do. We also have a few new people. We have Promise in AlphaTauri, he's a reserve I think, and then we have Sven, who is also a new driver for today's race, a reserve. So as things stand in the championship, Tuka is actually the PC2 champion, so he doesn't really need to do well in these last two races if he wants to win the championship, as he's 81 points ahead of Amio. I think he already won in Mexico, but I wasn't there, so I don't really know. We already have a spin in the back. I think that's probably Uriel or maybe Powell, but I'm not really sure. Let's go on board with Georgios, going to turn 1 and turn 2. The exit of turn 1 and the outside curb is really dangerous. It can really unsettle the car, and it's really easy to invalidate the lap. Coming to turn 3 right now, it's like a 130-degree corner, and Georgios actually crashes into the wall, so that's his lap and front wing gone. That's pretty unfortunate. Let's go on board with someone else. George Norton is also on a flying lap, going to turn 6, I think that this is. A 90-degree corner going into turn 7 and turn 8. He has a Mercedes right in front of him. Powell actually retires from the session. Georgios manages to move out of the way to not give George dirty air. Going to turn 11, it's a really fast chicane into turn 12, really easy to unsettle the car and spin and crash into the wall. Purple sector 2, but he has been removed, but it has been removed probably by Cody on mediums. Going to turn 13, I think this is, or 14, going to 15, a really slow corner. You have to get a pretty good exit. Going to the final corner, turn 16, opening the DRS for the final start-finish straight, and let's see what time he is going to set. A 123.1, a pretty average lap time, not the fastest that we are going to see today, probably, but still not bad. Cody Reed, I think, set lap time, but it has been invalidated. David Power in Alfa Romeo has also set lap time, 123.6 on softs. Looks like we don't have a lot of people going for mediums this race, so we might see some rain happening. But I guess we will have to wait and see. Ryan Chapman has put a fastest lap time of 121.7, which is the fastest lap time of the session so far. But the drivers still have around 10 minutes to set a personal best lap time. So like I was saying before, Duka is the champion for PC2, so he doesn't really have to do a good job today if he doesn't want to. We do have quite a battle for P2. We have Greg, David, and Ryan, only separated by around 36 points, I think, or 37 points. So that's gonna be a battle to look out for. But we have a crash! David Hoy and Raphael actually crashed with each other while I was looking at the standings. I don't know what happened there. I'm gonna have to look back at the stream. But that is really, really unfortunate. I don't know who's at fault with that collision. But yeah. What can you do? Cody Reed set a lap time of 1:24 on mediums. The only guy on mediums, so that is actually to be expected. I think the mediums are around a second slower. I think second slower, but I'm not really that sure. Let's see. I think Tuka is on a flying lap. Who is in Alpha Tauri for some? Oh. The camera was not good. Dragos has some connection issues, which is not good. Let's hope that he gets that fixed. So on board with Tuka, going to turn 9 right now, called Clark actually. Let's see if he takes it pretty well. He does go into third gear, gets a pretty good exit, hugs the outside curb, nearly crashes into the wall as he loses the car, but thankfully he has saved that. Let's see, going to 6th gear, pretty conservative in that chicane, but still pretty well. Going into Ascari, which was pretty well. Going to Steward, also pretty well, 5th gear. Prost is taking 2nd gear, so you have a pretty good rotation, and you can also early shift to 3rd gear. So you have better acceleration at the exit of the corner, and he sets lap time of 1:22.259, which puts him in P2. So the Aston Martins are looking pretty well today, putting a time for P2 and P3 respectively. So not bad at all, but around 8 people haven't set lap time yet, so there is still time for improvement. So yeah, let's speak about the championship standings. We said that Tuka won and is the PC2 champion, but we have a tight battle in the constructors actually, between McLaren, Haas, AlphaTauri, and Red Bull, only separated by around 30 points. That is a battle for P4. I think Aston Martin has actually won the constructors. Them and Alfa Romeo in 2nd place are only separated by 67 points. So mathematically, Alfa Romeo still has a chance, but seeing David Hoy in Alfa Romeo retiring from qualifying, that is probably not gonna happen. So Aston Martin will probably win the constructors as well. So this will be an exciting battle to see for P4 in the constructors. Williams and Alpine are also battling for P7 or B8 in the standings, so that's also a battle to watch out for. In the drivers, like I said, we have a 4-way battle for P2 between Greg, David, and Ryan, and everything else is pretty close, or everyone else is pretty close, separated by 60 points. So a lot to look out for in these last 2 races, so let's hope that all the drivers can do well, as Sven nearly avoids a retirement. We do have a lot of people retiring. We have Powell and Uriel, both Alpines, out of the session, which is really surprising. And then David Hoy, who had a collision with the Mercedes of George. I'm looking back at the footage right now. I think this is the footage. It is not. So yeah, I really don't know what happened with that collision. It's really unfortunate still. Oh, so I see it here. Okay, so Raphael has spun and David Hoy also spun in the same place. That is really unfortunate. That is very, very unfortunate. So you may question, or you are probably questioning right now, where is Adam or someone else, like Luke? They are unavailable today, so I'm going to be commentating on my own, which is gonna be actually pretty stressful because I haven't done this in a while. So please don't mind if there is going to be a lot of quietness happening. But yeah, please also tell me if the volumes are okay, if I need to lower the volume or up the volume, and if the stream is lagging, because for me it's okay, but for some people it may be bad, but I don't know. On board with Jacob in the Ferrari, going for another fastest lap. He improved by 1 second in Sector 1, so that is already a really big improvement. He does have a lot of traffic in front of him, the 2 Red Bulls and 1 AlphaTauri, so let's hope that they can move out of the way before he gets closer to them. Looks like the Red Bulls are giving each other a slipstream, so that is pretty good team play. But looks like that is going to be an invalid lap time from Jacob as he cuts the corner, turn 12 actually. And both Red Bulls have invalidated that as well. So as things stand, Ryan Chapman is actually P1, with Greg and Tuka following him right behind in P2 and P3. Tuka on another flying lap, maybe he can snatch that position, but we will have to wait and see for that. Going into turn 3 right now, and turn 4, really slow corner, going to fourth gear, nearly going too wide. Let's see how much he improves on. Only 63 hundredths of a second, but that is still a purple sector 1. He needs to gain 5 tenths if he wants to get P1 in today's race. His teammate right behind is also on a outlap, so let's see if he can improve as well. The only guy that hasn't had lap time is George, so that is going to be pretty interesting to see if he can do it, or maybe he's waiting until the end of the session. Tuka gets a pretty good line off of turn 11 and 12, really hucking those curbs on the inside, but goes pretty wide, nearly loses the control of the car, manages to save it though, and nearly invalidates as well. Going into the final 2 corners right now, he gets a pretty okay exit of the final corner. Let's see how much this will improve. Only by 1/10, so he stays P3 at the moment. He still has 5 minutes left remaining in the session, so he still has enough time to do a lap. But no one is starting on mediums, which is a pretty interesting strategy. That says that we might see rain in the race, which is going to be very interesting. And I haven't seen rain in Melbourne in a while, so it will be interesting to see. On board with Tuka's teammate George Norton, who spins at the final corner. He probably hugged the inside curb, as that curb is sort of an auto-spin curb. If you touch that curb, you are going to die. But thankfully George didn't die and he managed to save it. George, just behind him on a flying lap, just as we were saying that a minute ago. Let's see what he can do. Going pretty well and conservative into the first chicane, which is understandable. He only needs to finish a lap if he wants to get up the field. Daryl has retired from the session. Let's see what happened to him. He is on the middle of the track and Dragos just nearly avoids that collision. I think ghosting is off actually, because Daryl didn't ghost. So everyone else who is going to be on that straight needs to be careful to not hit him. We were on board with George, so let's keep on board with him. Going to turn 11 and 12 right now. That is pretty well. Turn 11 was taken pretty well, but turn 12 was a bit conservative, which is understandable. You don't want to overdo it, because if you hug the outside curbs after turn 12, there is a high possibility of you spinning and crashing into the wall. So taking that a bit conservatively is probably the best thing that you can do. George coming up to the start-finish straight right now, setting a lap time of 1:23.4, so he is just ahead of his teammate Raphael in P8. So that is a pretty good lap time, and he might get slipstream from his teammate, so he is maybe doing another lap. But that was pretty bad slipstream from the two Mercedes. Who else is on a flying lap? Rob in the Red Bull, 8/10 off of P3, so he wants to improve a lot. He is getting some slipstream of Dragos just in front of him, who is on a in-lap. George Norton also retires from the session, so we already have a lot of retirements. Let's see what happened to him. He just hit the wall on the outside line. So that is 5 retirements in qualifying. I am scared to see what will happen in the race. And I think someone else just crashed on board. Yeah, it's Jacob. Oh my god, we have a lot of crashes happening in today's qualifying session. So at least we know what to expect in the race. Rob invalidates that lap, and that is pretty unfortunate. He won't have enough time to set another lap. Ryan Chapman is doing another lap. Greg and Tuka are on the out lap, so he needs to improve if he wants to stay P1. But let's see what he can do. He is getting some dirty air off of the Haas in front of him, and the Haas was on the grass as well. That actually rhymes, kind of, so that's nice. Ryan Chapman sets lap time of 1:21.5, improves by 2/10, so he will probably stay P1 if Greg or Tuka cannot snatch that position from him. Let's keep on board with them, maybe they can do something. So Greg starting his flying lap right now, and let's see what he can do. So as things stand, only Rob, Dragos, George and Sven aren't doing a flying lap, so that is really interesting. They probably are happy where they are starting. It's also interesting that the whole grid is only separated by around 2 seconds, so that is very close in my opinion. So we might see a really close race, as Greg actually invalidates his flying lap by cutting the corner in turn 6, I think that is. Tuka also got blocked by a Alpha Tauri. That is not what you want to see. That was... Oh! Someone crashes from the race. That's Elliot. I mean, that's Cody. So that is pretty unfortunate. But this is how things stand right now, and no one is on a flying lap right now, because there is not enough time. So Ryan gets pole position for the Australian GP. So congratulations to him, 5/10 faster than Greg, just behind him in P2. They will lock out the front row of the grid. Tuka is P3, Cody P4, David P5, Raphael P6, Alex P7, and Rob P8. So the top 4 and top 8 are only separated by 3/10. So really close there. And someone is lighting fireworks outside my window, so that's pretty nice to see in the dark actually. Next we have George Norton in the Aston Martin, Tuka's teammate starting in P9, Elliot is starting P10, and everyone below Elliot will have a free choice of tire. So that depends if it will rain or if it will not rain. If you're new to Formula 1, if you qualify below the top 10, you have a free choice of tire. If you qualify in 10th place or higher, you will have to start on the tires you set that fastest lap time on. So everyone in the top 10 will have to start on these softs, and oh, Raphael and Williams have crashed into each other. That's the AI doing a wondrous job of avoiding contact. Where was I? Dragos is in P11 doing a outlap somehow. I'm not really sure how. George in the Mercedes follows him right behind in P12, 123.4, 1/10 off of Dragos. Jacob in the Ferrari getting a really poor qualifying session in P2, separated by... he's in P13, separated by 1.5 seconds from his teammate. Daryl in the McLaren also gets a pretty bad qualifying session, almost 2 seconds slower than his teammate in P1. Sven in the Haas follows Daryl in P15. Promise, the new reserve, P16. Powell, Uriel, David haven't set lap time yet, so that is pretty unfortunate for them. So both Alpines are not having a pretty good day today. But this, like I said, is a really close qualifying session. From 4th position to P15 or maybe P14, it's separated by 1 second. So that is really close. So we might see a lot of different people scoring points. But the reserves today and the new drivers today are not having a really good day, P15 and P16, so maybe they have a better race than qualifying. But yeah, I don't know what we are waiting on. I think the lobby is glitched. Because we are not going ahead. Just a second. What is going on, actually? I am really confused of what is happening today. This is incredibly weird. So, per my understanding, I think Dragos is... I think his game is glitched as he is doing a lap somehow when the qualifying session should be over. So that is very interesting. I don't know if we are going to restart the session or if we are going to just wait until Dragos retires or something. But yeah, I'm not sure. But I think Dragos is going into the pit lane right now, so maybe it's gonna be good. Maybe, I don't know. Oh, my game crashed. Oh, that's nice. Okay, we are having some technical difficulties. I am very sorry, people. I don't know what is happening. Very interesting qualifying session, I'm gonna say. I hope I can join in the session before the race starts. Let me just join off of someone. And everything should be fine. I think my game probably crashed because wait, why can't I spectate? There we go. I think my game probably crashed because I am running the beta version of the game, beta 1.13.1 I think it is. Because my wheel, the Logitech G923 True Force, didn't have force feedback because of some stupid glitch. The admins or moderators for F1 said that running in the beta version will fix the issue, and it did fix the issue. But maybe that's why my game crashed right now. I'm not really sure. But anyways, like I said, we have rain on the horizon in Melbourne today, and that is going to spice things up. I don't know if it's going to dry out at the end of the race, but it does look like it's not that cloudy, and everyone is on intermediates, so that is also a plus. But yeah, we are going to start the formation lap. So everything else looks like is as it was before, so that's okay. So yeah, it is raining for the race. It's really stupid how Codemasters don't allow the spectators of the race to view what weather is going to be happening in the race, because I really don't know if it's going to be even wetter or if it's going to dry out at the end of the race. But the game is predicting a one-stop strategy. So stopping at the middle stages of the race and then going until the end. But there could be a possibility of doing a zero stop if it's going to rain as it is right now. Daryl and Promise have been disqualified from the formation lap. That is pretty unfortunate, but what can you do? So yeah. We are waiting for people to finish heating up their tires, and we shall be going underway in just a bit. So Ryan has a pretty good chance of winning in today's race, as he was very fast in qualifying. He needs to put that qualifying pace into the race as well if he wants to win. Which probably won't even matter because Tuka is the champion and there is no way to get ahead of him. But still, this win could be motivationally good for Ryan for next season. But let's see what happens. He is 5/10 faster than both Greg and Tuka just behind him, so he does have the advantage. But let's see if everyone today has practiced for the rain. Jacob also is disqualified for the formation lap, and some people behind, I think that's Uriel and David Hoy, going really slowly, which is understandable. You want to have the guys in front of you to start on colder tires, so you have the advantage on start, as everyone is on the grid just waiting for those two guys to get on the starting position. And they should be, I think. And there we go. We are starting. We have 4 and 5 red lights, and we already have 2 drive-thrus, and we are underway. Tuka gets a brilliant start just ahead of him, and Ryan actually crashes from today's race. That is really unfortunate, but Tuka takes the lead of the race, but I think he has a drive-through penalty. We have a virtual safety car already. That is not good for Ryan, who was looking very well for today's win. Who has a drive-through? So Tuka has a drive-through and Jacob has a drive-through. That is very unfortunate. So Tuka and Jacob are going to go so far down the field. I think some people also have damage just behind them, and a lot of people getting penalties already. Cody and Alex having 5 seconds, and Jacob getting a 3-second time penalty going along with his drive-through. So these guys are not having luck at all, and my game is lagging for some reason. Let's hope that gets fixed in a bit. But Rob gets a brilliant exit, going to P4 from I think he started in P8. Yeah, so he gets a really good start. So props to him. Let's see if he can keep it clean and maybe get a podium. So Tuka is leading today's race, but probably that's going to be taken away because of the drive-through. And we have a yellow sector 1, 2 and 3. I don't know what's happening and why is that, but we have green flags. Rob has disconnected from the session and Tuka gets a pretty bad line, and he already goes into the pit lane to serve his drive-through. So Greg is leading at the moment. David Power is just behind him, trying to get ahead of him using his ERS. So this is going to be a tight battle for P1. Both of these drivers don't have a penalty yet, so that's good. Tuka and George, both Aston Martins, are in the pit lane, which is really interesting. And I think Promise spins at the final corner. We also have a lot of people just behind David Power battling for P3. And George nearly spins. And David Hoy actually gets a pretty good start as well. He started last, I think P19. He is P10. He's already in the points after just a few laps. Someone has a spawn. That's Raphael, and ghosting is on. But yeah, Raphael has spun, so that is really unfortunate. Ryan Chapman has left the session. Elliot gets a pretty bad line. David Hoy tries to go around the inside. They are going side by side. They nearly collide. You do not want to go side by side into this chicane in turn 11 and 12. That's a death wish if you want to do that. But yeah, the game is saying a predictive strategy of one stop. I don't know why it says that twice, but I mean, if you forgot about it, then here you go. Rob and Powell hit each other. Rob gets on the grass, cannot avoid that collision, and Powell gets P5. So there's a lot of things happening already. Ryan and Jacob actually retired from the race. I haven't actually seen that and what happened. So that is also really unfortunate. Tuka is P12, 19 seconds off of P1. So he, if he wants to win today's race, he has a lot to do. Georgios gets a pretty bad line off of 10-3, but 10-4 was way better. And Rob also gets a pretty bad line off of 10-4. Powell goes off the track. Rob is going down the inside and takes that position, but moves across to Powell. Powell has to avoid and nearly collides into Rob. Gets a pretty bad exit. David Hoy might get the opportunity to overtake him into turn 9, but he overshots that corner as well. So Elliot now has a chance to overtake David Hoy as a matter of revenge, because David Hoy overtook him the lap before, and he was successful in that. So a really tight battle in the midfield. Greg is just coasting away from David Power, who hasn't got the pace at the moment. Elliot trying to go around the inside of Powell and gets a pretty good line. And they are still going to be side by side, but Powell runs really wide, and that allows David Hoy to also move in front of him. So the Alpine not having a really good time. He is going into the pit lane, so he probably has some damage or something. I'm not really sure. Tuka and Dracos just behind them, fighting for P11 as well. Tuka making the ground. but he is still 21 seconds behind the leader. And he doesn't want to overtake Dragos yet. He is not using any of his ERS, while Dragos is. George Norton having a pretty bad race, just as well as Tuka in P16. So that is really unfortunate. David Hoy and Elliott battling again for P7. We do have a yellow sector 1 for Powell. I'm not really sure what happened. He probably lost control of his car. But we didn't capture that. And it was removed pretty quickly. David Hoy gets a really good line off of turn 9, and he got a pretty good line to maybe make a move for Elliott for P9, but he just messed it up and got a pretty bad exit as well. I'm actually confused of what I'm talking right now. I really need a co-commentator with me because I'm just getting so confused right now. I need someone. Tuka and Dragos really close to one another. Dragos has overshot the corner and spins. Oh, Tuka and Dragos actually collided with each other. Dragos stays still for some reason. He didn't even back out, but Tuka gets P11. That is really unfortunate. Dragos is P14, and he uses reset to track. That is illegal, so he might get a penalty for that, but I'm not really sure. Promise spins in turn 9 again. He is not having a really good race today for his first race in PC2. But what can he do? He probably didn't practice for the rain, so he is struggling a lot. So, Greg is still extending his gap from David Power just behind him, and I think it's around a second per lap. I'm not really sure, but David Power is really struggling. He is using a lot of his ERS to try and keep closer, but yeah, he just doesn't have the pace. I think that Cody is also trying to get even closer to him. He is doing a remarkable job to get P3. I think if he finishes P3, this will be his first podium of the season. David Power in Japan, or it may be David Hoy, but one of the Alfa Romeos did a 0 stop in Japan this season, so maybe they can do it today as well. It could be beneficial as the intermediate tires don't really wear out that much, and when they do wear out, they don't feel that bad at the later stages of the race. So a 0 stop could be definitely possible. You do not have to stop if you are on inters. If you do have slick tires, then you do have to stop. You have to use a mandatory set of mediums or hards at least once in the race. But in wet conditions, you do not have to do that. Speaking of David Power and David Hoy is in the pit lane, probably changing his tires, and yes, he is on new intermediate, so he probably got damage of some sort just before. So yeah, we do have some penalties of 5 seconds. Cody and Alex having 5-second penalties, so they will need to be pretty fast if they want to not get damaged by those penalties, which will be served in the pit lane after they go in the pit lane, or maybe they won't go in the pit lane, I'm not sure. We do have a spin of Rafael in the Mercedes. I don't think he has damage, but that is very unfortunate. A lot of people struggling in these wet conditions, so you can see that not that all the practice was made in the dry conditions. But yeah, like I said, a 0 stop is definitely possible to do. Just keep it clean, don't crash, and you will be safe. We are already in lap 7 of 29, so already like 20% in today's race. So it's going pretty quickly, which is really good. Powell gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That is going to be in his. That is going to be applied after the race. And Tuka is getting a lot of time from Sven, another reserve driver, and a new driver at that as well. Getting a lot of time on him in every corner exit. Sven gets a pretty bad line off of turn 5, but still manages to stay in P8. I don't think he can defend from Tuka. Tuka is not even using any of his ERS, but Sven is also. Sven defending the inside line and still manages to stay P8. And this will probably go until the start-finish straight, until Tuka will have a choice of overtaking or not overtaking him. Both of them get a pretty good exit, and let's go to Dragos and Uriel battling for P11 in today's race. So just outside of the points, if they want to get into the points, they will have to overtake Daryl in P10. But Dragos overtakes Uriel pretty easily. Going back to Tuka and Sven, Sven goes really wide. That compromises his line of the start-finish straight, but he is not going to move it easily. He is defending and trying to stay P7, but Tuka on the inside line has a better exit as well and overtakes him for P8. But we do have a safety car for Cody Reed, actually crashing from today's race. That is really unfortunate, as this was a really good chance to get a podium, but this will be really good for everyone else who lost a lot of time at the start of the race, and both Tuka and I don't really remember who else got a drive-through penalty, but this will be really good for them to still have a chance to win in today's race, as they are pretty fast. But yeah. Promise gets a 5-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags, and George Norton retires from the race as well. I don't know how, but that happened as well. But yeah, that is pretty unfortunate. We already have 4 retirements in today's race and a lot of penalties. David Power gets a drive-through penalty, and Promise as well. That is not going to be good for David Power. If you didn't know, you cannot do your drive-through penalty during a safety car. You have to wait until the safety car finishes to get rid of that drive-through. But Promise retires from today's race as well. So 5 retirements already. Alex is in the pit lane, probably damage or something, or he wants to get new tires because this is a free pit stop for everyone who wants to go into the pit lane, because you will not lose any time if you go now. Sven also goes into the pit lane, and I think there was a connection issue right now, but I think it's fixed. So let's see how things stand at the moment with penalties. So we do have 1 drive-through of David Power, so he needs to get rid of that very quickly. And Uriel and Pavel have 3-second time penalties, which is going to be applied after the race. So that's both Alpines, not good for them. David Coy is going for dry tires for some reason, but it does actually look like it's drying up. If we can just go on board with David Hoy. I am not seeing any droplets of rain, so looks like it is drying up. So we might see some people going for dry tires just like David Hoy did. But I don't think softs are the best option. There is a high possibility of safety cars happening later down in the race, but you will have to stop again for new tires, probably mediums or hards. I think the better strategy would probably be to stop for mediums and then go until the end of the race. And then if there is going to be another safety car, you just pit for softs until the end of the race. if it will be like lap 20 or 19, because I think softs can manage to do 10 laps. But I'm not really sure. I haven't done any practice in Australia, so I'm not really sure. Georgios for some reason overtakes David Power, but they do switch positions right after that. But yeah, no one is going into the pit lane for tries, and as I'm seeing that, both Alpines are doing it. So now is the question: is this a good strategy call? And both Alpines are going for softs, so this is probably going to be a free pit stop for those three guys, as they will probably overtake everyone after the safety car ends. But Pavel actually pits for intermediates, not dries. So I seriously don't know if it's drying out or if it's going to be even worse at the later stages of the race, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The fastest lap is held by Greg, 1:35.3, pretty impressive. And the second guy is, I think, David Hoy, a 1:37.5. So, I mean, it's Alex, a 1:35.7. So that is interesting, and no new penalties, and a lot of people have actually stopped already in today's race. Alex, Sven, Uriel, David, Raphael, and Powell. David and Powell stopped 2 times in today's race, so probably ring damage or something else could be. Positions change. George in the Mercedes actually moves up a lot of positions, most positions out of anyone, 9 positions. He started P12 in today's race. So if he can keep it clean, and if he can stay in this position, that will be a remarkable race for him. So let's see what he can do. Raphael loses most of the positions. Really sorry for that. But yeah, really unfortunate for all of the retirements happening in today's race. Definitely not what you want to see from a league race. But yeah, unfortunate for Ryan, who had a pretty good chance for winning the race, and everyone else for getting a chance of points. Really unfortunate. There is also a rule. If you are below the top 10, you can try to do a fastest lap of the race, and you will still get 1 point. So maybe we will see some people stopping at the final stages of the race, stopping for fresh tires, and trying to put a fastest lap to get that extra point on their opponents in the standings. But this safety car is going for a long time. Oh my god, I don't know what to talk about. I really need someone else to commentate with me, because I'm really out of topics to talk about. But yeah, it's really interesting how Uriel and David have risked it for tries. Like I said, it looks like it's not raining. I'm not seeing any droplets in the cameras and the cockpits, but there's no there's no telling that it won't rain even worse in a few laps. But the safety car is coming in this lap finally. I am glad. It was 3 laps, and that is our first safety car of the race. Let's hope that we will not have any more. So David Power has a drive-through. He will have to get rid of it really quickly. And Dave and Greg is holding everyone up. Let's see if he can get a pretty good exit. And David Power goes into the pit lane. I think that's way too early I think that's way too early. But a lot of people going into the pit lane actually. Tuka and Sven, I think they are feeling that wets are not good, and yes they are. But we are on the way, green flags, everything went away safely. people behind are battling. A four-way battle with Raphael, David, Uriel, and Powell. I think there was a collision, but I'm not really sure. Uriel trying to go around the inside of David Hoy and takes that move really cleanly. Powell and David Hoy collide with each other, so the drives are not yet suitable, as Uriel nearly crashes from today's race. So they don't have a lot of temperatures yet on those tires. And like I said, David Power has not got rid of that drive-through penalty, so he will have to do it now. And he will probably lose so much time that he will not gain any of it. It is going too wide, Uriel and Raphael fighting with each other, but I don't know why, but Uriel gets... Oh my god, Uriel goes to Powell's line and they crash with each other! What was Uriel thinking? Let's hope that Tuka and David can avoid. Yes, they do. They avoid it pretty cleanly. There is a safety car because of that collision. It did take a long time to actually activate, but this is also bad again for David because he's still not got rid of that drive-through penalty, so he's really not having any luck in today's race. But yeah, we are seeing everyone going into the pit lane, putting dries, except for Greg. He is actually taking the risk to go one lap longer. Maybe I could do that with Atzerek, but thankfully he's not racing, so I'm not gonna crash into him. Thankfully I'm not gonna crash. But maybe at the final race, maybe. Maybe I could do it. But yeah, David Hoy will get a really good position. He will get P1 after Greg goes into the pit lane, but it does look quite wet on the track. So it's still not dry enough, but everyone was already in the pit lane, but because of the safety car. And a lot of people opted for softs, so I'm not sure if this is a good strategy call, because they will need to stop again. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Safety car is in this lap, which is a really short amount of time. But yeah, I'm not. I didn't code the game, so I don't know. Let's see if anyone else can get closer to the safety car. They are pushing, but they will just manage to get close to it. But Uriel will be the only one that will not get benefit from the safety car, and maybe Raphael, but I'm not really sure. Greg is still not going into the pit lane for dries. I don't know what he's doing, and George gets a 5-second time penalty for colliding with Duca. Greg is taking a really long time this time and gets a pretty good line, so he is still P1, but we have Elliot and Tuka going side by side into turn 1 and 2. Tuka goes round the outside of Elliot and takes that position for P5. Really impressive, so he gets a pretty good start. David Power and Greg nearly collide with each other as Power gets a pretty bad line off of turn 3. And that is good for Tuka, as he is even closer to the guys ahead of him. And looks like Greg is really struggling at the moment with those intermediates, so David Hoy needs to get ahead of him as soon as possible, but Greg is not having any of it. He is defending like crazy, and the two teammates of Alfa Romeo nearly collide with each other, and now George and David Power go side by side, and they collide a little bit, but looks like it's all gonna be safe. Oh, and Tuka and David Power are going side by side into 10, 11 and 12, and they nearly collide, but they somehow keep it side by side into that chicane. David is going to try and go around the inside, but he backs out of it. David Hoy gets the lead, George just follows him right behind, but Greg is trying to battle it. He doesn't want to lose a lot of these positions. Tuka going around the inside, a big dive bomb, And he gets that position. Greg spun! That's the Inter is not doing well for you. But if David Power didn't get that drive-through penalty, he would have been so high up the order, and Alfa Romeo would have a really good race today, as he gets 5-second time penalty as well as Greg. So really intense. Raphael also overtakes Sven, but yeah, really intense battle for the lead of the race. That was really close. Georgios touches a little bit of the inside curb into turn 5, nearly spins, but manages to save it. Like I said before, George is having a really good race today. Again, P2, he does have a penalty, but if he can move away from Tuka or Dragos, he at least has a chance to get P3 in today's race, so a podium. And a first podium, I think, but don't quote me on that. Alex and Elliot have switched positions. Alex has overtaken for P5. Raphael gets a 3-second time penalty as well. So a lot of battles going on after the safety car, which is understandable. Rob gets a 3-second time penalty as well. So everyone is starting to get penalties, which was expected, but it wasn't expected at this stage of the race. But looks like before the safety car everything goes well, and then after the second safety car everything goes to everything goes downfall. But Tuka is not actually getting closer to George and David. So either he's conserving his tires to go until the end of the race, or he's just not fast for them. Which it's probably the first option. Because the latter option is a really bad option, because Tuka is a champion in PC2. So that option is unavailable. But yeah, Alex actually puts a purple sector 1, so he is going to put a fastest lap time if he doesn't mess it up. So let's see what he can do. Daryl and Elliot are pretty close to one another. Elliot using a lot of his ERS to try and stay ahead of Daryl. But looks like Daryl is using a low downforce setup, so his straight line speed is really good. He is using DRS and DRS. Elliot defended the inside line and they touch a little bit. But thankfully no damage. Raphael takes advantage of that and he gets P7. He's trying to go around the inside. Why is a safety car out on track? What the freak is this? Why is the safety car out on track? What is the safety car doing here? Is it trying to battle with everyone else? Anyways, Alien defended the inside line, gets really deep, and Sven takes that position for P8. But there's a safety car out on track. Be careful, everyone. Okay. Greg puts off a lap time, going ahead of Rob for P11. And there's the safety car again. Hello, how are you doing? That is very interesting. Be careful to not crash into it, Greg or Rob. And thankfully they avoid it. Oh my god, what is this game? This game is so bad. Well, okay then. We have a battle for the top 4 between David, George, Tuka and Dragos. Tuka is the only one on mediums, but he does have a penalty as well as George. They have 5 and 3 second time penalties separately. So George actually managed to get even closer to David Hoy, so he might get a chance to attack for the lead, but he is using a lot of his ERS, so if he wants to get P1, he will need to conserve a little bit. Just a second. I'm gonna be right back. The boss is calling. I'm gonna mute everything and I'm gonna see you in a few minutes. We have news. We are going to red flag the session. So, as things stand right here, this is going to be the finishing position, I think, at least, if I understand it correctly. So, Dragos is P1, Tuka P2, Raphael P3, Sven P4, Elliot P5, Greg P6, David P7, David P8, Rob P9, George P10, Daryl P11, and Alex P12. I think that's how we are going to finish the race. I'm not sure if we are going to continue or if that's just the end, but this is how things stand.
That's the end of the session, I can confirm.
Yes, that's... We are really sorry, but this safety car in front of George, it's just way too much trouble. So... yeah. I don't think anyone left the session. I don't know. But yeah. So this is the first time we have red flags. So it's really interesting to see how these flags will impact the entire race. But yeah, we are going to leave the session, I think. Oh, Alex crashes into the safety car. Nice. So we are going to leave. So that's really, really unfortunate for the safety car. I really don't know what to say, but Codemasters, please fix your stupid game. The safety car maybe went out because Powell, I think, left the session and then it migrated host to someone else, and maybe that glitched the safety car to stay out. But it's still really weird. If it went into the pit lane, then we probably wouldn't have to red flag the session. But yeah, if that's going to be the end of the race, we are just going to end the stream here, because there is nothing else to show. Just getting confirmation. Just a minute. So yeah, I'm gonna end the stream here. Hopefully you have enjoyed the race. We are really sorry that we have to end it right here because it's a really stupid game bug. But yeah, if you've enjoyed, you can race with us. There's a link in the description if you want to race. Also, thanks to our sponsors or partners actually. Gridfinder Race Insight, and I forgot the fun one. It's Bolidomania. Thank you for the partners, and we will see you next time in Brazil next Saturday. Take care and stay safe.